the idea is that, well, you've looked at your information management and you've decided what information you need. You've done your needs assessment, so you've got that information, you know what it is you need to do. You've given some thought to your resource mobilization, so what money do you need and what people and supplies. But all that needs to be pulled together into a plan. And I think experience has shown that there is a real danger in just looking at, well, what projects can we do? Because it's an emergency, so people just start saying, well, I'm working in this place, so I'll start dealing with this particular camp. Instead of taking just some time to think, well, what's the framework we're going to be working in? So having a strategic operational framework and a strategic response plan is really important. And all the evidence has shown that donors are increasingly looking to clusters to set the context for their projects, to be able to justify to them, through their plans, that this project is a priority and we can see where it fits overall. So it's a very important tool. Can I just ask for a show of hands in both rooms? How many of you have been involved in putting together a strategic response plan?
Oops.
Okay, so most people have got this experience, fine. So the most important part of this session is going to be the exercise, where you'll be looking at your own particular context. But I think it's just valuable to make sure that we're all on the same page. And for those people who haven't been directly involved in response plans, that you know what the expectation is. So that's the point of the session. I think I've changed some of the slides if you do have the presentation there. So if you can just keep an eye on what I'm doing, then keep up to date. Is this okay? Okay. It starts with, I'm not sure if you can see, you have the Dilbert cartoon, which just talks about, how does my project fit into the overall strategy? And the boss is sitting going, I didn't know we had a strategy. So, you know, what you don't want is that situation of people not knowing that there's a strategy. Okay. Okay. This first circle is just a reminder of the stages of emergency management, and that preparedness is a key part of it. And then it's important that when there's an emergency, to move into response, and then you move into recovery, and then you move into mitigation. How are you going to make sure that you'll try and make sure that it doesn't happen again, or to minimize the risk. So it's a cycle of the phases of emergency management. So we're going to focus on the preparedness and the response element of it. There are different kinds of plans, and I certainly know that I have been quite confused by the different terminology. So I want to just kind of share what I understand of the terminology we use. There are preparedness plans. Preparedness plans are generally like at a national level. So they're quite broad, and they're just about how will we as a nation respond to emergencies. And so it's a range of situations that you would be prepared for. And it might be in countries where you have regular natural disasters or there's chronic conflict. And Pakistan has its preparedness plans, yeah? But that's a big scale. The next level, though, is contingency plans. And contingency plans are looking at specific anticipated crises. Now, we don't know quite when they're going to happen, but we do know that at some point there's going to be flooding. At some point we do know there's going to be, for example, when there's elections coming up, that there's an anticipation of violence or conflict or whatever. So you think about what are the possible crises that we anticipate. So that's your contingency plan. And then the third kind of plan is your strategic response plan. And that's what you need when there is an emergency, when there's an actual emergency, a current crisis. So it was put together for the Haiti earthquake, flash floods, etc. So within Pakistan, my understanding, and I presume in Afghanistan, that you've got stages of plans. But I think you also need to think about, you can have a national response plan, but what does that mean at the provincial level? So you need to think about, are the strategic response plans relevant at a provincial level and at a district level? So that's the kind of background. We're going to focus for this one on the strategic response plan. So, you know, just for the purposes of the exercise. Just to recap the planning process, you need some preparation to make sure that everybody's committed to the planning process. You need to start it with some commitment and buy-in. And you need to think about what will be our process for planning and putting things together. Then you need your analysis. So you gather your information and you analyse the hazards, the risks, the vulnerability, the capacity. A lot of the things you've been looking at already this morning. And you build scenarios and you develop your assumptions. So that's part of the kind of analysis of the information that you've got, whether it's preparedness, contingency, or response plans. Then you put together your actual response plan, where you have clear objectives, where you have a strategy, where you identify how you're going to manage the emergency and how you're going to coordinate. And then from that, you can build up, well, what projects are you going to be initiating? And then you move into your implementation, let's start getting it done. So it's just recognizing the phases that you need to go through. I say, you know, I think the danger is that you can get driven, particularly in major emergencies, to the implementation without thinking, you know, about the framework first of all in your response plan. Okay, just to recap on the aims of the strategic plan. Ultimately, you have one to meet the needs of the affected population. What might be the other benefits of having a plan? Preparedness, yeah. And what's the advantage of being prepared?
You, but only we can hear you.
Okay. Right, so have you lost the picture or am I standing out of the picture?
Well, I think there are some other... Yeah, now it's fine. It's fine now.
Okay, I'm glad you can...
Oops.
Okay.
Now, oops. Yep.
Okay, yes, you have a...
We should have actually...
Hey, let's just answer the question, yeah.
Okay.
Forget about that.
We should have the government and sectoral departments involved in the planning. We should be on, providing, considering the needs from all sectors during an emergency, so that we cover with the planners.
Okay, yeah, so it's important to government and arrange so that everyone's involved, yeah? Any other points? Who else should be involved?
Community.
Mm-hmm.
Community.
Yeah, the community.
And then the donors, NGOs.
Yeah. It's an interesting point about whether donors should be involved in your plan. And I've worked with a lot